Has it reached the point in the season where, with the number of games declining and the end of the season in sight, every game matters that bit more, and every point gained starts to matter that bit more now?
Listen, I think the dynamics of a season certainly change as you go through it, and you kind of knock the chapters off and the stages as you progress through it. We find ourselves now, obviously, with a clear focus on the league. In many ways simplifies things about, all eyes on one thing, and taking it game by game for sure, and understanding what that brings, and what's at stake for sure. You got to use that feeling, you got to use that emotion, you got to use that enjoyment and excitement really to fire things up. So really looking forward to it. It's all ahead of us, so we'll attack it with everything we got.
So what about this one? Old-fashioned game, old-fashioned atmosphere usually down there as well. How much are you looking forward to this?
Yeah, it's I've played down there for a number of times, and I really like it. I enjoy it. I enjoy the feel of the stadium. I think the supporters get behind the team ever so well and create a really good atmosphere. The way the team's playing, I think they're high energy and quite aggressive in the way they play. So it's something we got to deal with. But certainly looking forward to the game and the challenge that kind of is thrown upon us.
In terms of the opposition, I mean, maybe a little bit misleading. They are where they are, but they've actually after a very slow start, they have picked up a bit. What do you make of them?
Yeah, particularly at home, I think they've had some really good results. Scoring 4 goals a couple of times and being particularly tough to play against, and making it a hard place to go and get a big result. So we know that. We know how the kind of the style of play, what kind of game they want, and it's up to us to adapt really and be flexible and cope with that and imprint our strengths on the game as well.
Taking last weekend aside, because that was a game out of time in its way, are you happy with how the team's playing currently?
Depends what you mean by happy. I don't think you're ever really fully happy. I think there's always things that we want to improve on. There's always issues, little bits of issues that you want to iron out and help the boys with. So I don't think you're ever fully happy until the end of this season and you've achieved what you want to achieve, if I'm totally honest. You might be a small element after a good result, but that moves quickly, and even in that good result sometimes there's things that we're not happy with, so that we need to do something about. I think we understand where we are, fully understand where we are, and what we can do, what we have been doing well, what we need to improve on. But it's I'm coming from a really exciting position of I think you go through a season and as I touched on at the start of the chapters and the phases of the season to put yourself in a position where something's possible, and at the moment we're in a position where everything's possible. So it's I'm really excited about what's ahead, and it's up to us. It's up to us to go and do something about it.
We are in the transfer window. First of all, has anything happened that you can update us with, either incoming or outgoing?
No, not being funny with a quick answer, but no, not at this stage, no.
Just in terms of potential outgoings, I think people know who we're talking about, but is there an acceptance sort of on the football side that sometimes if bids come in and bids get high enough, this thing is a business and ultimately players may move on, and that's just the way the world works?
Yeah, I've said it, we've spoke about it for quite some time. I think you understand how it works for sure, and we've got a lot of good players, at different stages of their career, and just like we'll be looking at other players from other teams will be looking at our players and thinking, is it something they can go for? Is it something that'd make their team better? That we understand that. That's how it is. It's something you've got to accept really, and take it as a positive that we've got a lot of good players here.
And just finally for me, do you feel that there is the sort of commitment from above that whatever happens in January, you're not going to leave the end of the month with certainly any weaker a squad?
That's the challenge, That's the challenge. I don't think it's fair to say about commitment from them. I think that there's no way on earth you could ever question the commitment of anyone at the football club, whether that's at the very top, for what they've done and work day in day out to try and make this great club better all the time. And same as in terms of me and the staff, the backroom staff and the players. commitments, I can assure you, commitment is not an issue. So I think we've got to be careful what we say is commitment and what's actually football in general and the life of being at a football club. It's but certainly for the want of trying and the want of success and effort and attitude towards that, there's no way we could be questioned with that.
Michael, in terms of Portsmouth at the weekend, I mean, how big a challenge will they be, given obviously they're fighting for their survival here?
Yeah, listen, it's a big challenge for us, and as I said, the way they play, really aggressive, high energy, make it very, very difficult, and recent kind of form proves that, and it's always been a challenging place to go. I think like we spoke about the way the stadium, the makeup of it, the supporters being like they are, the pitch and it feeling very tight, and it's the type I really, really enjoy, and it's something we've got to be really ready for, and the boys will be ready for. But it's another one of those games where you can look at in terms of a league position or who should win this game, who's favourite. Totally irrelevant going into the game on Saturday for the type of game we know that we're facing.
Ryan Giles, old boy of Middlesbrough, how good would it be to bring him back to the club?
Listen, there's absolutely no way I'll talk about individual players from other clubs. I think listen, there's so many different ways and of rumours and speculation. Some quite interesting, some true, some false, but quite a lot false. But it's listen, all I can say is we're working hard to improve things, and whatever that way may be. Largely happy with the group we've got as well. So it's getting that balance right. I think it's a pretty obvious thing for me to say that, but at this stage we're positive that we can try and improve things, but largely happy with what we got.
And any indication that Liverpool want Doak back at all?
No, nothing's changed.
Michael, it seems obvious to say that consistency is key in football, but how easy is it actually to come by? And when you're going through good spells, whether you're going through bad spells, your messages ever change massively in the dressing room or on the training pitches?
I think it's a magic ingredient to success. It really is. I think being able to do something to a high level over and over again is ultimately separates you, and that's what the league is. We're doing it over a course of so long. So messages change, of course, through a week. I think when I say that in terms of every game's different, every phase of game's different. The periods through a season, how it kind of, as I've already said, the dynamics and the flow of a season change. So I think we have to adapt to that. But largely, what we are, what we want to be, our principles, they stay the same. But it doesn't mean that we're rigid and stubborn and stuck in our ways. Hopefully not.
As a player, of course, you played under many great managers. Is there anything that you take or have taken from what you learned under playing for them that you use here?
No, I think the beauty of experience is you pick it up without realising it, and sometimes for the good, sometimes maybe not so much. Sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's something that just kind of seeps into you, and you've seen it and you've digested it, and you don't really know why you behave or you think a certain way about a certain thing or a certain situation. Is maybe because you've been through it or someone's been through it, and it's very difficult to know what you have taken sometimes, a specific thing, if that makes sense. It's just that's the beauty of experience and using it in a positive way. Certainly there's moments or there's real standout situations at certain moments where you'll remember, but I think a lot of experience just hopefully goes in there in the right way and kind of takes care of itself.
And just finally, as a manager, how have you found experiences of transfer windows? Because of course, predominantly you want to be focused on the footballing side of things, but when you've got that to contend with in January or the summer, what's that like in striking that balance? Yeah,
there's a big balance. It's the role, it's a responsibility, and it's not a sideshow by any stretch. It's such an important part of the season and building the club, building the squad, and dealing with it, what comes around. So certain times it's challenging when you kind of certain times you're really in control of it. It depends on what side of the fence you're on, of what you're trying to do or what's thrown at you. But it's something you've got to accept and embrace and make the most of, for sure.
Where are things at with Manu?
Manu's our players trained fantastic this week. Very, very well this week actually, and looking forward to the game on Saturday.
You'll be involved at the weekend then?
Yeah.
So things
Yeah,
haven't progressed then, that's what I mean, things haven't progressed to the point where
He's 100% us, yeah.
Just asking about George Edmondson, obviously Kieran spoke yesterday, Kieran McKenna, and said that talks are ongoing there. Why are you so keen on bringing him in on a permanent this month, and how important has he been this season?
Listen, George has done really well, and we brought him in on loan, and it was one of those, it fitted all parties, and I've said it to you a number of times of, you go into situations not always simple. Sometimes it can be quite complicated. There's a lot of parties involved, and sometimes you go in and you know exactly what you're getting out. Sometimes it's a little bit in the balance. But George has done fantastically well for us, settled in really well. So yeah, we're really, really happy with him.
Having won promotion as well, that experience can only help you in the second half of the season.
I think it's getting the balance in the squad as well, and that's something in terms of recruitment and the makeup and the dynamics of the squad. I think it's really important. In terms of spread of age is one thing. Types of experience is something else as well, for sure. It's a different thing, and just because your experience is something, doesn't necessarily, it's an age thing. It depends what you've gone through at certain stages of your career as well, what kind of experiences you've had. So we're conscious of that, of trying to get the balance right, really, and to give us a good chance moving forward.
On Ben, no news is good news, I suppose.
Yeah, we understand the situation, but yeah, for our point of view, there's absolutely zero distractions, and Ben's been the same. He's trained fantastically well. Yeah. Happy and delighted the way it's going.
Just asking about Sammy Silvera, obviously he came back from Portsmouth this week and went to Blackpool. It was a difficult first half of the season for him, and John Massinho spoke about kind of why they made the decision to cut it short. Just reflect on the first half he had and what you hope for his second half of the season at Blackpool.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's the loan kind of situation of sometimes it goes to plan in terms of playing a lot of games. Sometimes it goes to plan in terms of getting a different type of experience and learning from it. And there's I've spoken to you a few times of sometimes the loans go really well and it's fantastic. Sometimes it's you got to use that experience to then kick on and take it to the next level, And he's had some good games. Obviously frustrated Sammy didn't play nowhere near as he wanted to himself, and as certainly as we did as well. So yeah, the plan is in, hopefully, and we believe that he'll go to Blackpool, and Steve will look after him, and he'll have a big finish to the season.
Can he still have a role to play here moving forward?
Yeah, for sure. I don't think you can ever write anything off of that. He's our player, Sammy, and he done a lot of good things, particularly last season, and I think that's the nature of the loans at different times. I think finding that pathway in your career, and certainly he's our player.
Just on that, Michael, obviously with how the first half of the season went for Sammy, I guess picking the next club, Blackpool at this point, was a big decision this month. But how involved are you or the club get involved in that? Is it kind of something that you leave to Sammy to kind of make a pick, or?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of sides to it. We certainly wouldn't give him or make the option available if we didn't think it was a positive one, or it was a good move. There is certainly Sammy's decision. He's our player, but he's an individual, and he's still got to live the life. And I know he gets caught up with football lists and football that, and it's why we're here. It's important, of course it is. But I think when it comes to players as well, there's a lot goes into them type of decisions, and what he feels is best for him next, what type of club, what manager he's got to work for, what group of players he's got to work with day in, day out. So there's certainly a kind of a group decision when it comes to things like that.
Yeah, obviously decisions like that in mind, we've spoken a bit about Manu and kind of, the uncertainty in his future, not necessarily just with Manu, but, in the past when the likes of Morgan or whoever has had interest from elsewhere. Do you ever kind of sit down with them and have those conversations about, whether they're moving on or, try and convince them to stay at this club? How do you kind of balance that?
No, of course, a big part of my job is communicating with the staff, with the players, with different scenarios and situations, in managing them, really. So yeah, for sure, it's not always exactly, it's not an exact plan. It depends what pops up. There's all sorts. But 100%, I'm involved in discussions. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much you can or want to say, but in conversations with Manu in the last week or so, how's he been and what are the indications you get?
No different to what I would do for the last 18 months.
Just injuries, moving on for that, how we're looking. I know you were hoping maybe Aidan possibly. Luke.
Yeah, Aidan's back training. Luke's back training. Not had an awful lot of training between them, but back training, so that's a positive. So it's a good step for both of them. Senny's taking his training a step further as well, so that's good. That's another positive. Gradually getting a little bit better.
Is there any indication on when Tommy Conway might be back? Obviously, with that uncertainty, we're back in mind as well.
He's back on the grass doing. Excuse me. Finishing his end rehab, so it won't be this week, but hopefully it won't be too long after that. We'll just have to wait and see how the next week or two goes.
You mentioned Senny obviously taking a positive step there. I mean, with Sol's injury in mind being quite longer term and Senny still out at the moment, is the goalkeeper situation one that might be looked at this one for the transfer?
Well, yeah, it's certainly it's something we've looked at, and we continue to do that and assess where that lies, how it works. In terms of fitness and availability and what we see moving forward. So yeah, it's constant kind of discussions on that one, really.
So, sorry, just on injuries, where are Dara and Tommy Smith at?
Yeah, still a little bit further. Yeah, a couple of little bits of setbacks, both of them in terms of the rehab. So, but yeah, they were not any time kind of over the next month or so.
It must be incredibly strict for both, because we spoke to Dara in the summer, I think it was at Gateshead, when he came back and played, so obviously he thought he was over the worst of it. Tommy, I think, assumed or thought he'd be back before now. I know it's just part and parcel of life as a footballer.
Yeah, no, listen, for Tommy and Dara, I think it's been particularly difficult, and for all of us, to for them to be out for so long. Unfortunately, it's part of it. It's, we all hope everyone's fit and on the pitch, and if it is an injury, it's just a small one, but some are bigger than others, and we're obviously doing everything we can to support them with that. See how we go.
Will they be back before the end of the season, or is it too difficult to say?
We'll just have to wait and see, I think. Yeah.
And Alex, I know obviously no time soon, but again, how's he doing?
Yeah, Alex is really positive. It was always a long-term one, and but yeah, really positive. He's taking his steps through his recovery and his rehab, and fingers crossed at the moment it's going well for him.